Hey guys, and welcome to Film Study, where we analyze films in various ways to make you see it in a different concept, and change a part of a scene and figure out how the rest of the story would play out based on a single change in one scene.
Riley.
Oh, look at you. Aren't you a little bundle of joy?
Since 2015, when we got introduced to Riley at the young age of 11, we got to experience some insight on what these kids are thinking and going through, especially when they are going through a dramatic change like moving to a completely different location away from everyone you're used to seeing. Pixar did very well with this, as it's something that people can relate to. My question is, what would a sequel look like? And what would the story cover following Riley's life? I'm sure that gets some of you thinking about the parody trailer edited by VJ4 RAR2 on YouTube, displaying things that would resemble Riley transitioning into adolescence. We see things like her in the middle of shopping and getting her credit card declined, triggering anger, and watching the Kardashian show, creating a new island. This is the main theory on a second film, but based on what we learned from Riley in the first one and what Pixar likes to do, we can assume that a sequel would likely follow her into adulthood or the teen years. In order to elaborate on this theory in detail, first we need to dissect the original and follow Riley to predict her next moves after the film and where her life would take her. We're introduced to Riley as a baby, developing her emotions as she grows up. From the film's perspective, that writers wrote the film in the form of emotions in the form of humans, controlling how she feels based on their opinion. Example, disgust jumps in when the broccoli is introduced and she takes over because of the weird smell, so she doesn't trust it.
That is not brightly colored or shaped like a dinosaur. Hold on, guys. It's broccoli! Yucky!
During the transition to moving to San Francisco, Riley of course has a hard time. We get to see her develop and handle all of the changes. What stays though is her family. That of course is something that will never change. We get to relive numerous memories that tell us that Riley is creative, fun, caring, and memories are important to her. It's what makes her the way she is. The inspiration for Riley came from Pete Docter's daughter, Ellie, who also voiced young Ellie in Up.
You and me, we're in a club now.
Ellie was very outgoing and goofy when she was little, but became quieter and more introverted as she got older. Watching my daughter made me a little sad, her father says. As a parent, I was playing and being a part of that pretend play, and that was going away at 11. That was a big part of the film. The filmmaker was sparked by an age-old question, what in the world are you thinking? That was a core thing throughout the whole film, trying to tap into that difficulty. That kids grow up and it's sad and it's beautiful and it's necessary. She saw the film a couple months ago, Doctor says, and she said painfully, "Good movie, Dad. No embellishment, no overexcitement, just the directiveness of a high schooler hurtling towards adulthood." The problem with the sequel is discussions of a sequel began in June 2015, as Docter had no immediate plans for it and expressed interest in improving Pixar's originality. However, he and Pixar explored a possible sequel in January 2016. According to Pixar president Jim Morris, that July, the company's commitment on several original films prevented sequels to any of Pixar's other films, including Inside Out, from being commissioned at that time. There is little or no pressure within the company or the larger Walt Disney Studios to make sequels simply because a movie did well. Instead, the filmmakers focus on what stories they have to tell and the best way to do that. Here, Docter says that the characters of Inside Out were only designed to tell this particular story, not necessarily a potential sequel. Moving them into another movie isn't as simple as that.
People that really mean something deeply are those that I have cried with, that I've experienced fear with. It's all the aspects of emotions that bond us together.
Riley is very uplifting and positive and does her best to turn a bad or new situation into an adventure and curiosity. The turning point to the story is not only have the core memories disappeared, causing her islands that affect her personality to shut down, but joy is not able to affect Riley, leaving her to only feel disgust, angry, and fearful, the three emotions that would consist of adolescence. Given that Riley isn't even preteen age yet, this technically wouldn't be relevant, but this would be the normal reaction in this situation. Without joy and sadness in headquarters, I realized Riley always had her head down when around people, not necessarily depressed, but maybe confused or keeping hidden. When fear tries to place a happy memory when Riley is playing hockey, it doesn't work because the emotions don't match. In an interview with psychologist Daisher Keltner, who advised director Pete Docter throughout the making of Inside Out, he was asked the question, what changes do you think we would see if we were inside the head of an adult as opposed to a 10-year-old kid? To which he responded and delved deeper into the mind of a preteen, saying, "We start to learn how to really reflect on our emotions and be aware of them with language and metaphor and representation in stories. This gives us a bit more insight into the mind of a preteen, the age that Riley would be if a sequel did come." Anger gets the brilliant idea that Riley should go back to Minnesota, without even consulting her parents. What they were blindsided by was with her not only going with no guardians, but she is an 11-year-old girl. Obviously, the dangers of the world didn't even come as a thought, even to fear. Even out of headquarters, Joy finds different ways to make or keep Riley happy, like in the dream production scene.
Sadness, you may know your way around down here, but I know Riley. We're gonna make her so happy she'll wake up with exhilaration. We'll excite her awake.
Sadness gives an example of why sadness should exist and is necessary as an emotion for Riley when she sits down with Bing Bong and listens instead of her emotion being pushed down like Joy tries to do constantly.
Hey, who's ticklish, huh? Here comes the tickle monster. Sadness, don't make him feel worse.
Sorry. It's all I had left of Riley.
I bet you and Riley had great adventures.
So you understand why we needed to do this.
Yes, Joy.
It's for your own good. And for Riley.
But as she learns what sadness brings to the table, by the end, she realizes that sadness is crucial to a valuable life.
It gives a clear message of Joy not always being the answer as being helpful. Joy has tried throughout the entire film to keep sadness as far away from Riley as possible, when in reality she was the answer. This resolution gets interrupted because of the timing of the film. It's not time for the resolution just yet. We understand that in the end, it's important to show your feelings to let people know. This is shown through sadness. It's good to be happy, but shoving your feelings down can create chaos. Instead of correcting sadness every time, Joy needed to let her do her job. This resulted in unbalanced emotions. By letting sadness touch the core memories, it allowed Riley to tell her parents about how she feels about the transition and how hard it is for her. We get a glimpse of the new upgraded system that emotions get with a button that looks like a missile launch button with the words puberty on it and more islands signifying her development and new interests like music and fashion. Even an island with the San Francisco Bridge giving the implication that she has accepted the new environment and new friends surrounding her. In terms of if another one even should be made, I think this wouldn't be the best idea as Riley is getting into that age where things come up, and given the audience that Pixar has, I think it would be very difficult for them to implement this into a new story. With the short Riley's First Date, the writers did do well to introduce boys in a funny way with Riley and the emotions and even the parents' emotions.
The story is about Riley's first date. I mean, and the guy she dates is kind of a layabout dude, but then the dad
Not much to say, doesn't have a lot to say.
doesn't have a lot to say. And then Riley's dad ends up kind of weirdly bonding with him.
I don't know. Stuff. Oh, I play in a band. That's fun.
I was in a band. Lead guitar.
Cool. I rock the bass.
We
Yeah,
played
my
a
favorite
lot
band
of
is
AC/DC.
AC/DC.
But as far as other emotions Riley could be feeling at this time, it would be harder to implement them to a younger audience in a feature-length film in a way that is realistic and understandable to the older audience but not too mature. So what do you guys think of this theory? What are your thoughts on if Disney should create a second Inside Out at some point? I would love to watch more of Riley grow up, or even seeing an adult version of her. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. And for more videos like this, we'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. It would really help out the channel and let us know that we are providing great content for you guys.
Guys, what's puberty?
I don't know. It's probably not important.